What's up, everybody? Station Pop Pop Boom. I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups here on Pop Culture Philosophers, and tonight this is a show that even at the tail end of Horror Fest, where we just need to be knees and balls and vaginas deep, I guess, whatever, into Horror Fest, we are here to talk about House of the Dragon Season 1, full-on spoilers. This is a review and a discussion with my homies. We made the bad decision to do 9 episodes weekly about She-Hulk instead of this show, but here we are to bring it all together to talk about one of my absolute favorite shows of 2022. And joining us, we got the man himself, Jelani. What is up?
What's up, man? Follow my good list, my friend. Follow my good list.
Hell yeah. I forgot that I told Steph that he was going to be first tonight, so boom, there you go. What's up, Steph? Pop, pop.
What up, fellas? What's going on?
Happy to have you here, man. We also got the one, the only Brianiac in the house. What is up, dude?
What's up? What's up? Glad to be here. Oh, station. Oh, you're going to do it?
No.
Oh, wow.
I'm so excited for this show, dude. I'm not going to do it. I promise you, bro. I'm not going to do it. It's a Westeros promise, too.
Man, so this will be the first time in like a year and a half.
Well, it's a Westeros promise, so keep that in mind. Speaking of Westeros, the bastard of the group is Brooks the Bastard. What is up, Brooks? How are you doing?
Hi.
Station. I'm just kidding. Brooks the only one here that knows his father. I'm just kidding. I'm just a joke. We're moving on. All right. Tonight, we're talking about House of the Dragon. Just wrapped up on Sunday night. I followed this weekly. I'm not into television as much as I used to be. I ain't got the time for it, right? I'm reading every comic book published on Earth pretty much. I'm trying to reread old comics. We are watching all these movies for Horror Fest and Dylan's Horror Show. By the way, Station for Dylan hitting 1K today, y'all. We did it. And now we got to go above and beyond because the monetization's not going to really work for him because we talk about these gnarly horror films. YouTube hates horror movie discussions. Trust me. It's just part of the algorithm. Speaking of the algorithm, though, House of the Dragon hit the Robbie algorithm perfectly right. I was on board for this. Now, when Game of Thrones first started, I was into it, but I kind of got out of it. There's many reasons why I got out of it. Then I tried to come back in, and then I got out of it again. And then based on what people feel about those last, and I've only seen I've seen the first 5 seasons of Game of Thrones. So I guess I never saw the last 3 because they did 8.
Fine. Stop where you did.
But that's what I hear. That's what I hear. So I do have, and I've never read the books. Has anybody here read the books? Brooks has read the books.
Yeah.
I read some of them, not all of them.
Yeah,
who's read?
I haven't read Fire and Blood, but I've read all the Game of Thrones.
So nobody's read Fire and Blood, which this is based on, which is more of a history book, right? Yeah. And I followed this channel called Mike's Book Reviews, and I cannot start this show appropriately without giving a big shout out to Mike's Book Reviews because he led a weekly conversation about this show, and they have all read the books, and I found it absolutely fascinating, and it really helped put some context for me and where we were going, and it helped guide me through the time jumps throughout this whole season. So overall, I loved it. I already said it was one of my favorite shows of this year, but now I want to know, Steph, what did you think of House of the Dragon Season 1? And also, what's your history with Game of Thrones? Were you excited? What's all that? Just overall, what do you think?
Overall, this is my oh shit show. I was a little trepidatious coming into this because I thought they're kind of right. Going back to my history with Game of Thrones, I came in on season 2, like they were showing it on like HBO, like season 1 the weekend before season 2 was about to start up. So I was like, oh, I've been hearing about it. Watched it all the way up until the last season. I do agree with the arguments or the debates that people make about like the first 5 seasons. I would even say, what is it, 7 seasons? 8 seasons?
8 total. It was 8.
I even say the 7 seasons were fine. It was that last season that just kind of they made everything just shit. But so going into this show, I was like, they're just trying to cash in on the name. I don't really know anybody like the producers or the writers behind it. So watching this, I was a little worried, but this quickly put my fears to rest, and it's become they proved me wrong. I was, digging it the first 5 episodes, and then the time jump kind of scared me a little bit, put me off a little bit. Handle that just fine. This show was a great surprise. I was worried. I was very worried, but I've been enjoying this quite a bit. Phenomenal.
Hell yeah. Like I said, I was into Game of Thrones, but I kind of got out of it.
You're right.
For multiple reasons. But like when this show started, I was like, at this moment I was overloaded. We're doing She-Hulk every fucking week. It's only a 20-minute show, but we talked about it for an hour and a half every day for some reason. And if you look at our Miss Marvel episodes, like we liked that show better overall, but we spent less time talking about it, which was interesting to me. But so if you put that into consideration, tonight should be like a 6-hour show. Anyway, no, we're not going episode. But I gave that first episode a chance, and I had just watched. I remember that day I had watched Rings of Power episode 1 and 2, right, or something like that, and I was like, or maybe this came out a week before, but because I was trying to get into Rings of Power when I was getting into House of the Dragon, I stopped watching Rings of Power. And I hear from people like Brooks that it's really, really good. If you have the patience to get through it, it's solid.
You're right.
And House of the Dragon captivated me from the fucking beginning. A more intimate show to me, even in the first episode and this whole first season, than Game of Thrones was in its first season. I would dare to declare that I think it's a better first season than Game of Thrones because it is more solidified in on a core family and a group of characters. And it wasn't just the time jump, right? It was the recasting of Alicent and Rhaenyra that really, like, they got to play themselves 10 years older. Come on, y'all. Like, we locked into those characters so much in those first 5 episodes. And it blows my fucking mind because I can't think of even a soap opera that's replaced a character and made me like care enough to keep going on. And they really, really nailed it here. And it's not quite It Chapter 2 in getting the absolute perfect performer to play the adult version of a younger character, but it's close to that 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Chelani, we couldn't make it through a She-Hulk episode without you talking about House of the Dragon. So why don't you tell us overall what do you think about the show? And obviously you got a history with GOT.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I am OG GOT. I was there day one, first episode that Sunday night on HBO. I watched the first episode. I watched every episode since, all the way to the disastrous finale, like the disaster that is season 8. Season 7 was getting there because technically the dumbass showrunners wanted to go do a Star Wars and
that didn't even pan out.
Yeah. I'm glad. I hope they never get jobs again in Hollywood. Let's go work.
Maybe does not speak for PCP as a whole.
Not at all.
Taking people's jobs away, dude.
Yeah,
I heard that HBO offered them like more
money. They were
more money, more episode length,
whatever you want to do. And they were like, "Nah, son, this Star Wars money, call it." And like, on top of that, what D&D did, which I call them Dumb Dumber. I don't care for their anymore. They could have just given it to the showrunners for this show, for the House of the Dragon. The guy, one of the dudes, directed the Battle of the Bastards, one of the best episodes of the show, and it's in the craft season, so it's awesome. So I have deep ties to this show and a deep hatred for how season 8 turned out and how this show could have been. And Game of Thrones, if it had been set up properly, would have been the best television show I'd ever seen in my life, because it was real and it had fantasy elements, and you throw dragons in. I mean, you can't lose. You can't lose with any of that. It's kings and successions, and it's like this bloodline, and you have to have this. And a Lannister pretty much sat on the throne the entire trip. So when I heard about House of the Dragon, the first things were like, "Oh my goodness, they made black Targaryens. Oh my god!" That's all I heard. And for like the longest time, I'm like,
I ain't never seen a black man with bleached blonde hair.
Right.
Cisco.
That's right.
Cisco. Meteor Man.
That's it.
Meteor Man.
The Golden Lords.
But yeah, you get into it. You get into this story, and I'm like, that's all we care about, and that's all they complained about in the beginning. But then it got quiet for a really long time, and they were like, and they and then plus they said they stopped the production because the script was too woke or something like that. So it was quiet.
YouTube channels you watch, Jelaine?
No. That's a lot of different YouTube channels, but that's what they were saying. Anyhow, so I mean, I don't care about that crap. But the thing was, the reason it got so quiet was they were actually making a damn show. And when this came out, I really was a little hesitant, but I saw like 2 trailers, and I was like, "Oh, I'm in." And you got Matt Smith. Oh, son, you got the Doctor. So I'm going to
be honest.
Down
yeah,
day one.
I'll be honest. At first, I was like, "Why all you fools trying to get fooled again by Game of Thrones? Y'all all hated the ending. Why?" And I don't think I watched it that first night. Actually, I think I watched it the week after because I heard people say it's actually pretty good. Yep. And I was like, well, let me see what's up with this, because Rings of Power wasn't doing it for me in those first couple episodes. So I was like, let me jump in and riveted from the first moment I watched. But that was my stance at first. I was like, I was trolling people, man, almost. I was like, man, y'all hate it.
Really hate.
Why are you doing it again? That's like being with a partner who like cheats on you and then you take them back. Like, what are you doing?
It's the same thing.
I knew the showrunners. Yeah, it is. The showrunners are gone. The people who made that show terrible, and everyone in the cast said it was terrible. They're gone. So everyone that's left loved that show. The production design, the other writers, everyone that's left was like, we need to take this and make it awesome. And they did. I think they did. I think it was a mission accomplished. The show is brilliant, and you throw and it's a dragon civil war. The Dance of the Dragons is going to be like the most epic battles that you will ever see. I don't know how long these seasons are supposed to be, but it's got to be 3 at least.
Well, I remember seeing something where
George R. R. Martin said it would take at least 4 seasons to do.
Maybe 4.
Dance of the Dragons.
Yeah.
Or just for the Dance of the Dragons. They're going to milk this shit, though, because...
I hope they take it all the way up to Rhaegar dying at the Trident. I think that's how it should end.
That would be
spoilers.
Rhaegar getting killed by Robert at the Trident.
Spoilers, Brooks. What's going on? You're gonna...
Well, that's in Game of Thrones.
That'd be...
goes crazy.
That's like the beginning of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's they talk about that in Game of Thrones.
It's a joke.
Early.
It's a joke.
Okay.
Delaney, you like...
I didn't tell that time.
But I love Hot D, man. Give me all the Hot D you can give me.
All right.
About it.
Oh yeah, Brian, you watched all the Game of Thrones and all that jazz. What do you think?
Did.
What do you think about House of the Dragon? Because you were like, "Thank you so much, Robbie, for inviting me on this show. I'm so excited to talk about it."
Yeah, I did say something, awkward like that. Yeah. I loved it. Man, it was fantastic. I was hesitant because I had the bitter taste in my mouth from season 8 of Game of Thrones. I still think episode 3 of season 8 is one of the best episodes ever seen. I like that. But if that was just released as a movie, I think that'd be a pretty good hit. I mean, but my history with Game of Thrones is a guy at work recommended it to me, and this would have been like 20 years ago, like 2002, probably something like that. And handed me the first one, and I just remember reading it and liking it a lot. And then one of the big things in that is when Ned Stark gets his head chopped off. I think I reread that 5 times to verify that that's what actually happened, because I was like, that the way that book is written is like you were so invested in him, right, as this guy that's gonna like fix everything, right, and then it's just like nope. So that's the kind of magic to me of that Game of Thrones, because it's epic, it's got all these sprawling things, and then when when that payoff happens, it's like whether it's good or bad, right, it's got this huge impact, and that's what was missing to me from season 8. That's what happened, is that they just basically wrapped it up, and so many things just seemed completely unearned because they just seem to come out of nowhere, and so yeah, I did have that bitter taste in my mouth for that one. And then I I don't really look up too much about what's going on beforehand, but my wife said she wanted to watch it, and I did see that Matt Smith was in it, and we're both big fans of that, of the 11th Doctor there, so figured wouldn't hurt, give it a shot. And man, from that first episode, I was like, that was really good actually, and the fact that it's a little bit more compressed, like you were saying, I mean, not so much, I think is actually could be a good recipe for success for this, like
Absolutely.
not having it spiral out and leaving storylines untouched for 3 or 4 years. So yeah, but yeah, I absolutely loved it. That time jump did mess us up for a good 20 minutes. I was like, I guess this just must be like 10-15 years later. But,
Right. Yeah.
looks so different. And then but after that 20 minutes, I didn't care. Like I was past it. I was like,
Yep.
this is awesome. I thought both of those actors were the younger and the older ones, I thought they were all solid.
Well, I felt so in love with the younger performers, right? That like I was really nervous about the switch in actors for Rhaenyra and Allison.
Absolutely.
As soon as Allison comes on the screen, I'm like, is that the chick's mom? Is that the other chick's mom? Or I was like, what the fuck? Rhaenyra is the most different for me. I didn't quite get it, but I felt the weight of what she had gone through as being the heir for so long. And not just the heir, but like the heir knowing that everybody else wants this fucking shitty ass kid that's going to masturbate on everybody. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he's trying to give everybody a pearl necklace. Ain't nobody asking for that, right? What a piece of shit.
That's not what the people want.
Yeah.
That's not what the people want.
Not what the people want. But this show has been giving us what we want, like good, compelling drama, interesting mystery, intrigue, the Game of Thrones whole shit, especially with Otto Hightower, like making his plans from the very fucking beginning, seeing it all come to fruition, seeing it all go beyond the scope of what his vision was. I found it all incredibly fascinating. Now, in my personal life, the biggest fan of the whole Song of Ice and Fire, Fire and Ice. What is it, Fire and Ice or Ice and Fire, Brooks?
Ice and Fire.
The whole Song of Ice and Fire. The biggest fan I know is the man that just corrected me. That is Brooks. So, Brooks, why don't you tell me what you thought about this episode overall and your history with Game of Thrones?
I liked House of the Dragon. It started a little slow for me. Like I liked it all right. I was intrigued enough, but as it got on, like it definitely got a lot better towards the end. Like I don't think the characters in House of the Dragon are as endearing as, like, say, the Stark children from the first season of Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah.
Like and there's still a lot of names I haven't, figured out yet, but I'm definitely interested in a lot of them, and particularly the One Eye. He's turned out to be my favorite.
Is that Aegon?
I love the fact that he put a fucking like sapphire in his empty eye socket. Like that's dope as fuck, dude.
Yeah,
this show's been a blast. I've been loving watching it. It's like I think one of the things I liked about it is kind of a nerdy thing, but like you actually get to see Storm's End in that last episode, which is like Storm's End in Game of Thrones was just a place that people talked about,
right?
And we never actually got to see it. So it was cool. I thought to see this place with all these fucking crazy ass storm clouds and shit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping they do more of that, like different areas in Westeros that we may not have gotten to see. And like I'd like to see Casterly Rock, which we got to see a little bit in Game of Thrones. But I'd like to see
that's
more.
that Stephen King town, right?
Yeah. That's where the Gunslinger goes to in Westeros. Dude.
Roland's somewhere up in there right now, man. You know that shit. You liked it. You liked it a lot, man.
Yeah, it was good.
Thought it was a little slow at first, but it really started picking up for you.
Yeah. But once I got more invested in the characters, like the whole drama and like political intrigue became a little more interesting. It's political intrigue is not something in particular that interests me usually, but if you're invested in the people who are like doing it, then it can work.
Yeah, I like political intrigue when it's fiction.
Yeah,
I like it when they're dragons.
Yeah, throw dragons in there too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you what, the
election part of the show.
The election of 2016 would have been way better if there were dragons. I'm just going to say,
hell yeah,
way better.
Way better. All right, now this entire show is filled with amazing performances and characters. One of the things I like about this show is that, and I get what you were saying, Brooks, about how there were more individuals in the first season of Game of Thrones that you could like as an audience latch onto, right?
Starks.
But
Yeah,
what I
Starks in particular.
Yeah.
what I
Right.
love
Oh
about
yeah.
the show is it's showing that it ain't black and white, y'all. It ain't
Mhm.
Yeah.
like
A lot of areas of gray.
there's so many shades of gray. In fact, there's more than 50. There's even more than 50.
Zing.
Yeah, but that's what I like about the show is like I felt like I was first brought on to be on Rhaenyra's side, right? And then she's like fucking her uncle, who's obviously not a good dude. You know, she's like into him. But then incest is a big part of this shit, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of the Targaryen
family.
legacy in particular. Yeah,
Keeps their
family.
bloodline.
Here's Vin
Yeah.
Diesel. Let's bring I need a
I mean, like real life royalty
Family
like
on
that
family.
too.
It's
I gotta get a
about
Vin
family.
Diesel fucking meme because Fast and Furious ain't got shit on House of the Dragon as far as family goes. But it's got a great cast. I don't want anybody to steal mine, so I'm going first. My favorite cast member and character is Patty. Was it Considine
Considine.
as
Yeah.
Darius?
Viserys.
Mm,
I'm gonna tell you this.
Targaryen. Oh,
The first 2 episodes, I was like, what a stupid ass fucking character. What a weak
Right?
character. What a forgettable
He's a dope.
king. Like, fuck it. Like, I'm ready for him to die. And I thought this dude was going to die at every goddamn
yes. Yes.
Every episode.
Yes.
Every
I
episode.
mean, he was
Every
sick from the
episode.
beginning. It seemed
I
like.
know. I'm like, oh, he's going to die this episode.
This is when he
Motherfucker's
falls
still
out.
alive. All right. But then when he did die, I went from I cannot wait for this dude to die to get the shit going, to get the shit rolling. You know where it's going because I didn't
Right.
read the book. I don't know, but I hear little things. But I know that like he's gonna die. There's gonna be the civil war between like the high towers and the fucking and them and the Damon's obviously in there, and he's not good. Come on, bro, right? Damon was badass in every fucking bit of the show except for that one episode where he had like short ass hair, which came out of fucking nowhere. And we're all
Yeah.
like, yeah, we need them
He
locks.
cut his name because they named him King of Driftmark.
Is that the okay?
Yeah, he was the king. That's why he came in with the crown.
That's the
with
worst wig in the entire goddamn show. I'm just gonna say
He quickly
that.
grew it back.
Very quickly. I don't know. I don't know with the time jumps. Sometimes there's like 3 years between episodes. I didn't even notice that. I was like, I think it's like 3 weeks. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, she's got kids? 4 of them? Like, what the fuck is going on? Anyway, Viserys is fantastic because I went from just waiting for him to get out of the way to being like, no, I want more of him. Like that whole bit where they're like, where he starts talking about kings are known by their victories. I have no victories. What will I be known for? Right? Like, what am I? He's been the king of peace. And let's be honest, like we love fictional political intrigue, like Brian was saying. We don't like it when it's in the real world, unless it's this. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Facts.
let's have a peaceful fucking king or queen every fucking once in a while. Let's have
Yeah.
no war. Let's like I'm down for that. I loved his character. I thought he gave it his all the way through. It just it entranced me, his performance. If this dude does not get nominated for an Emmy and win that fucking Emmy, I'm boycotting the Emmys, which I did I guess I don't fucking know 40 years ago. Anyway, Steph,
You
what's
take him
one
down,
you-
dude.
That was a good choice. Viserys, I was gonna pick him if you hadn't said that. I felt the same way. I'm gonna pick someone different, but I just want to chime on him. You felt his weight because it's it's you have to make a conscious choice to be a good man or a good person sometimes. Like and he was always making it. Yeah. He could have easily flipped out or gave in to other temptations but he made a conscious effort to be that rock. And so you felt everything he was going through by the end. He did like the last 2 episodes, I want to say, he went from like I guess he was in his I looked it up, he died at 52, so I guess he went from like he started off the series in his 40s. And one episode, it was when they went to go see Damon, and he was still married to the Valerian chick right before when she was pregnant. And he was kind of still hobbling around, but he was starting to go bald. But then the next episode is when he's like deathly ill, and super skinny. Okay, but just in those jumps, he made it seem like lived in, like it wasn't just one episode next. Like it didn't seem jarring. Like he was phenomenal. My favorite character though, beyond him, what was his name? He was Rhaenyra's bodyguard initially. What's his name?
Kristen Cole.
You know, I was saying
God.
not my favorite character, but I like the arc he's going through is because I feel he's been spurned, bro. Like he started off in something he believed in, like he felt a bond to the princess, but meanwhile she kind of sleeps around with everybody. I'm sex positive, but I'm just saying, there's nothing wrong with that, but he's not that type of person. He's not sex positive.
Knights are famously not sex positive.
But I like how it started off because he seems like such a noble dude at the jump that his trajectory to where he's at now. That's what Game of Thrones is famous for. Like everyone has they're always distinct characters with distinct traits. And I like to see his fall from descent because it's just gonna only get worse for him. He's always gonna try to make it up to Alicent, and it's not gonna go anywhere with that. So he's always gonna be how he felt where Rhaenyra's played him. So, man, it's hard. Matt Smith surprised the shit out of me because I'm not used to. I didn't believe him to be a badass character, and he's like, he comes on screen, he's kind of got that like John McClane type of cool almost as Daemon. Like you're like, okay, shit will be under control as long as Daemon's there. Like when Aemon and them kind of had like a stare off. Like Aemon's kind of walking around like a badass, but it took for Daemon to kind of step up for Aemon to be like, okay, let me simmer down real quick. So, everyone's pretty great. Like even the two Rhaenyra and Alicent, the two older actresses.
You just gonna tell all the characters?
The whole cast. But all right, I'll go with Sir Justin. Justin, what's his name?
Christian. Right?
Christian. Why do I keep calling Justin? Sir Christian Cole. Yeah, I like his descent.
He's the guy that's like, you want me to be your whore? And I'm like, all right. Like,
that doesn't sound too bad.
Christian is like,
man, like I'm cool with that, man. Like I'm cool with that, man.
Christian's like the guy who got to his position like actually through merit. He was chosen because like she knew he could
exactly. And she made him throw away his values just for some ass, bro.
He was chosen because she thought he was cute as fuck, bro. That. Come on, man.
Right.
He beat Daemon. He beat Daemon at the little knight thing. He was like a top knight.
Dude, she's been fiending for Daemon apparently for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. As uncomfortable as that may seem, this is Westeros, baby, and we are the Westeros wonders here tonight. So, Delaney.
One of my friends said, real quick, he said he was shocked when he saw the romance between Daemon and Rhaenyra pop off. I was like, bro. They laid out in the first scene when he's like turn around and he puts the necklace on her. I was like, bro, there's so much subtext there. Like they, you could tell it was there.
Absolutely. All right, Jelani. Steph stole a lot, but he's going with Christian. He didn't want anybody to think that he approved of his non-sex positive nature, and we understand that.
It's all good.
He's sex positive as well. We all are here.
Yeah,
y'all.
like
PCP
Westeros wins.
We've been sex positive before that was even a phrase. Jelani. Favorite character / performance?
Well, yeah, Steph, you took them all. I'm kidding. But to get on the Targaryen thing, well, I guess I'll get to my favorite. I'll go with Rhaenyra Targaryen. I like Millie Elcott, and like I didn't think I'd like Emma Darcy, and they play a great first episode. That first episode when they just had that baby and immediately they're like, you need to be seen by the queen immediately. That walk, that whole scene, I was like sold. I was like, okay. I thought was gonna be my queen, but
that's a better Game of Thrones walk than the Cersei walk.
Yeah,
right?
the walk of shame. But yeah, I mean, she's a very great character, and she's tragic, and I like her character anyway. I like her dragon Cyrax. I mean, I'm a fan. Like just her demeanor, she makes a better queen. Cyrax.
Cyrax.
This is a
Mortal Kombat.
Combat.
Yeah.
Sector.
I was watching Jeremy
Yo.
Johnson. And he's like, I hope the other dragon's named Sector. I really do.
Yeah, that's all we need. But she dressed well. I like the way she carries herself, even in this last episode when her son is killed by Vagar.
Oh, bro, powerful.
She's just, man, bro. The look on her face, the determination she has, and the fact that she was not willing to go to war. She didn't want to kill anyone, and then
Right.
Damon was chomping at the bit to get her to start war, and she was like, she's just very reserved, and they notice it. Someone says it there. They were like, I like the queen's restraint.
She has very regal presence.
Yeah. And she
It's
has
her
one because
father,
she's been
right?
taught this. Her father taught her how to do it. She knows the Song of Ice and Fire, the one that is proclaimed is supposed to kill the White Walkers. This is another thing I wanted to bring up, and I know we might go into themes and all that stuff, but all of this started as a misunderstanding. Viserys,
It's like a Three's Company episode.
yeah. It's a huge misunderstanding. He basically gave her, told Alicent the Song of Ice and Fire by accident. And she thought that Aegon was supposed to be on the throne, and that's not what he meant.
Because he's talking about Aegon's
He's talking about
vision.
Aegon the
The
Conqueror.
original.
Yeah, the first.
The original, the Conqueror who has the dagger. He's the one who tells the story, but she misinterprets it, misunderstands it, starts a war. And it's so sad to watch because it's like they didn't want a woman on the Iron Throne. No
Right.
man wants a woman on the Iron Throne because it gives that credence and whatever it is. And people were like, "Oh yeah, that's too much of a message." It's beautiful. It's the best message I've ever seen. Like, and they play it. This is why it's not like one of these things people are arguing about on the internet. That people generally agree that this is an awesome show. But the reason is your female characters are naturally strong female characters. They're given a purpose. They're given a drive. Every woman character in this show has shown. Rhaenys, Damon's first wife. I can't remember
The
her
cousin.
name. My God,
Lena.
Lena.
Yep.
Allison, even.
Alice, yeah, I said Allison.
Yep.
What I'm saying is every female character in this show is a powerful force of nature.
Well, they're just great, well-rounded
And they're
characters.
well-rounded characters. That's what I'm saying. They're powerful forces of nature because you gave them a purpose, a story. They have something to do other than you're just badass. You're just badass. We're just doing this. You're not doing that, and that's why Rhaenyra is my favorite character so far. She of course is in love with her brother Daemon. That's why she slept with Sir Krista Cole, because he pretty much rebuffed her because he didn't want to sleep with her at that time. But
That was one
she
of
was
those
like,
moments where I was like,
I
it
want
was,
her
the show was so dark visually. I was like, did they fuck her?
yeah.
Right, yeah. What?
I don't understand.
I
What
mean, some
happened.
things were about to happen, but they didn't. But I hear in the
They
books
got hot and
that
heavy.
they did do it like often, like they sexed all the time. So they had to make it
I wanna
innocent.
sex you up. Don't you remember Damon being in that video?
Yeah,
It was the dude that we thought was like,
You don't
it's
stop.
actually Damon.
yeah. So I mean, yes, to me, she's the best character in the show. I mean, well, there's probably one other I give it to. I'm not going to say who that is. I don't wanna steal anybody's thing.
We gotta let Brian and Brooks have something to say.
I'm not saying a thing because Steph gave everybody away, but
Yeah, I
I
made sure I left no stone unturned.
Rhaenyra's absolutely baller in this fucking show. She's amazing, and you make a good point. All of the women characters are so well rounded. It's not oriented around trying to get them over. It's building character.
Mhm.
And it's like that with every character in the show.
Every
They all have more than two sides. They all have dozens of sides because that's how we are as
We're
people.
humans.
And the show really responds to me as being a well-written show and actually doing characterization in a more grounded and natural kind of way in an ungrounded and unnatural setting to us. But we did reference Color Me Bad already. Brian's favorite band is Color Me Bad. He's seen these dudes in concert 8 times.
Not a bad choice.
8 times. So, Mia Moore, why don't you tell us
Yep.
what you thought about your favorite characters?
Yeah, I can't wait for that 9th time too, man. It's never enough. Yeah, so this is hard to pick a favorite character, but
That's why I named it all.
yeah, yeah. My favorite's Aemond.
Ooh.
I haven't read the book, but there's a lot of potential there, right? You know, and you know, they developed him, and you know, he's kind of off to the, you know, I mean, he's not as prominent as some of the other characters for sure, but I think that's going to switch and everything, and plus, like, that look he has, you know, when he's grown up and stuff, is just like, I mean, you just know he's just like this prowling, stalking, quiet animal that's going to tear you apart. You know, with, you know, I don't know, it's just like he has that. He's really good at that
Sinister
and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I always love that kind of. I always like those characters a lot, and plus that dragon chase thing. Like, I mean, he's got that dragon he has. Oh my god! I mean,
that dragon.
man.
I didn't know the dragon was like so big compared to the other dragons. Like,
I thought they were all the same size.
Right.
All of a sudden, they bring it up Indominus Rex.
The largest dragon in the world. Largest.
Because I just said it was the largest dragon, but that doesn't
Give you any.
make me think that he's like 10 times bigger than the other.
We get the scale now, don't we?
He can eat a dragon. He can eat a dragon.
There's a scale on the internet of how big he is, and he's like whale sized. He's size of freaking whale.
Well, that's what it looked like in the. That's what the chase looked like, right? It looked like a boat on the water upside down, you know, with the whale coming underneath it, and you're like, oh shit.
It's a Jaws sequence. It's a Jaws sequence. Basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to see. You know, I'm waffling on whether I want to read the book or just watch the show and have it revealed that way. You know,
you saw his face though, right? Because he was like, "That wasn't supposed to happen."
Yeah,
he was kind of acting the part,
he was kind of scared, and he was like,
Oh, I think that's like the idea of the reason that the Targaryens stopped using dragons as much is because of shit like that. Because, like, you know, you can control them up to a point.
Right. They're still
wild. Like, they need to be used more sparingly. And, like, you know, people have forgotten that, and they're like, "Oh, why don't we just use the dragons?"
Right.
They're gonna start learning, I think.
He's just trying to fuck with this kid, and then the dragon's like, "Oh, that other dragon's gonna try to spit fire on me. You don't put your feet on me, motherfucker.
I'm the alpha."
Came right up like in a menace and just fucking snatched his ass at me.
Yeah.
You just see little parts falling to the ground. Just
and Aemon's a great character just because I hate him so much.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? You know, he's gonna do awful things. You know,
it's Game of Thrones all over again.
But you notice he was like picked on when they were they're like he was a teenager, I guess, like he was 10, 12.
Pig for the drag. He didn't have a dragon, right? And he's
and his older brother gave him that pig and shit, and so it's like he even went over to I forget the older brother's name of Rhaenyra, not Luke, but
Aegon?
Owen. Yeah, he went up to him and he was like, he looked like he wanted to say something to him, but he ended up just walking away. Like he seems like he was picked on, and you know he kind of developed these skills to defend himself.
Yeah,
I haven't read the book.
That's what I was gonna.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is that was one of the compelling parts for me about him is that, and it's also, you know, to me one of the themes is like cyclical nature of, you know, reality, and then like bullying and stuff like that. Because like, because I mean he was picked on, and then you know, and then he uses all of that, right? You know, and then kind of then becomes a bully, obviously too. But like you know
it goes to the drives him 15 fucking years, and this is also showing us what happens if you actually commit to the gym. 15, 20 years,
you get results.
You're gonna come out badass, man.
Well, you know, you get your eye cut out, you get a badass dragon.
That's a good motivation. Yeah.
Take your defeat and trauma and use it as motivation to better yourself. Right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and that Sapphire Eye was dope, man.
Yeah.
I think Brooks said that earlier. I was just like, I think I said that.
I was like, it's like this dude's got powers. He's like Cable. He's got.
I thought he was gonna be like the grandpa, just like a kind of had or Viserys, just the socket there. But I saw that bluish. I was like, oh.
I straight up, I was like, this motherfucker's got the techno-organic virus, man. About to show up, man.
Where's this big ass fucking gun?
Oh, bro, I don't get paid for this shit. Anyway. Brooks, what about you? What you got for favorite character?
Well, Aemon's definitely he's definitely up there. I'd probably say he would be, but Damon was a character who was, surprisingly not mentioned so far, but he's an
He
interesting.
was mentioned by Steph when Steph mentioned like 4 people.
I mentioned everybody in the cover.
Like
But no, yeah.
But Damon is he's an interesting dude. It's like I love his introduction. Is like him just basically like leading a bunch of cops into this town and just like hacking the shit out of these
Pillaging.
fucking people.
Yeah,
It's
serious
like,
fascist shit.
what the fuck is this dude's deal? And like it seems like he kind of calms down for a while. Like, for a while he's just, over there doing his own thing, content to, make his family over in, what was it, Pentos or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets drawn back and he's like, it's like there's a thing in like the Game of Thrones books how like the Targaryens was always like flipping a coin. Like, you'd have like, you could have one that would be like a good ass, ruler who's very wise and,
Serious.
and yeah, like Viserys. But then sometimes you get like the not so good ones, fuck, what was the name of the one who got the Mad King? Aerys?
What was it?
Is it Aerys? I think it was Aerys.
Aerys.
Yeah, and I think Damon's kind of leans more towards the crazier aspect.
Oh yeah.
He's
They're inbred.
He's very quick to anger. He's always it seems like he's always planning something. He's plotting, but at the same time he does have like he has a softer side too, especially in regards to his brother.
Yep.
Like when you see Viserys like comes out when nobody's expecting him and he like almost falls and Damon's there to to pick him up. It's like he loves his family and like
he's fiercely loyal to the things
too.
Well, that's a really good like brotherly dynamic, right? Like they have their issues, but when your brother looks bad, you go to help him, right? Like
right.
I thought there's so much nuance with so little. With Matt Smith as Damon, and like Matt Smith is one of the goofy doctors. You know what I'm saying? Like they're all goofy, but he's like one of those goofy doctors from the BBC, right? Like, come on. He played Prince Philip or whatever, but like, and that was a great performance in The Crown. If anybody's ever never seen that, you need to watch The Crown on Netflix. That's really good shit. But that's a really great moment, Brooks, when he goes there to help him up, and oh my God, it ties in.
And especially since like in the beginning, they had another scene in the throne room where he basically ends up banishing him at the end because he said some shit about his son who had just died. It's like they have a very like, it's like
and there's nuance to it, right? Like, so he kills his first wife, and he legitimately is sad about the death of his second wife. I believe that was like his true love.
He didn't love her enough. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a lot to there. And plus he spends that whole episode, one of my favorite episodes, which is where they're at I think it's a funeral, and they're like, that's when everybody knows that everybody's fucked up, and they're like, that's when Allison like cuts Rhaenyra and shit. He's the whole time just sitting in the fucking corner, bro, like smirking at these
chilling.
Observing.
Yeah, that was his wife's funeral, wasn't it?
Yep.
It was. Yes,
it was.
At Driftmark. When
he cuts that dude's head in half.
Yeah.
Whoa!
That was.
Your son's a bastard.
Like dude should have been like, the moment when he said that, he should have been looking around, keeping his eye on fucking Damon.
He
ain't keep his tone.
He ain't never seen Game of Thrones, so he doesn't know this. That leads me into a really great segue into the writing, the style, the structure of this show. So there were two quotes as I'm watching this show that I felt so enamored with that I actually put them on my Facebook. So I'm scrolling through my Facebook feed. The first one is the head of House Valerian, Rhaenys's husband. I cannot remember his name.
Lord Corlys.
Corlys, that's right. He's badass.
Yeah, he's badass too. Yeah.
He says the line that goes, "What is this brief mortal life if not the pursuit of legacy?" To which Drew, our buddy Dashing Drew Matson of the Excitable PCP crew, said, why does everybody love this structure of a sentence? Because it was the same thing that Vision said in WandaVision when he's like, what if grief, if not the pursuit of love, or some shit like that or whatever. And I was like, damn, you're right, man. But then before that, there was some writing in this show that line after line that spoke to me personally, and I just thought was very well crafted. I'm getting back to the other one. Hold on. God damn, Robbie, why you post so much? I don't post that much. Why am I so pissed at myself? There was something. I'm just going to go ahead and go with it and try to remember it. But it says something like, I don't want to live in fear, just solitude. And maybe that says too much about me personally, but that meant a lot to me. Like, the writing in this show is absolutely fantastic. How they show all these facets of these characters. There's not a clear cut, like, black hat, white hat. You know what I'm saying? It's not like an old Western or whatever. It's, I care about all these characters because they all represent something within myself. Even Otto Hightower, we didn't mention him.
Oh yeah,
He's awesome.
yeah.
Dude,
Littlefinger, new
we've
Littlefinger.
seen him as
I think he's more like.
He's not Littlefinger.
Who's the crippled dude? He's more Littlefinger.
he's
That's Laris. That's
strong.
Laris.
Yeah,
Laris is. Listen, that was my second
He's
character.
more of a Lord Tywin type.
Anyway.
the
Tywin.
I could. Yeah,
the weirdest stretch in this entire show is his Tarantino-esque foot fetish. Like, and I
love
guess
Laris.
Allison, I was talking to Justin about this. Justin came by the shop a few days ago, and I was like, so, like, do they have, like, a deal? Like, you can beat off to my
What it look
feet
like.
if you supply me with information?
Yeah.
That's some weird shit, man.
Yeah, that's what
Like,
he
I
asked
thought
for.
Tarantino came
no
in
way.
one scene. I want to do one scene. Quentin Tarantino was like, I want to do one
Do
scene.
it.
Let's do it.
Like,
But
all right,
the-
yeah, go for
the
it.
writing works. Like, all the different facets of these characters, there's something, even in Otto Hightower, I understand where he's coming from. There's a piece of me that understands what he's doing, right? From the beginning. And this is more Otto Hightower show than almost anybody else's. And that dude, I remember from the fucking Replacements, should have played Constantine instead of Keanu Reeves. He should have played fucking Constantine. And he's great, dude. He played the lizard in that shitty Spider-Man movie, but whatever. I love the style of the show too. I think it looks good. However, there are certain moments that are way too fucking dark. There is a moment where Damon and Rhaenyra are on a beach at night.
Oh,
It was so dark, dude.
I had to adjust my settings.
Bro, turned my fucking shit on dynamic. I
Yeah.
fucking stood up on my couch and had to look at an angle to see what the fuck was going on. And I was watching Jeremy Johns, and he pointed out that there are stills from those scenes that are in broad fucking daylight. So it's one
They
of those
filmed it during the day. Yep.
during the day and applied a night filter. Bro, they did that shit better in the 80s, I guess. I don't fucking know, man. I hate that night filter that they do for the daytime shots in the 80s movies where you're like, I see the fucking clouds in the
The
sky.
sun glare. Yeah.
I see the fucking
Yeah.
I see the sun in the fucker's fucking reflection of the glasses or something, right? But in this one, I'm like, I can't see shit. So there are moments in the show, and Brooks and Jelani remember me saying this when we would talk about this week to week when we would hang out in the shop. Dude, can y'all see this shit? Like, I can't see it. So I like the way it's structured. I think it's perfection. I think the writing is near perfection. My one fucking gripe about the show is that there are moments where I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I literally cannot see shit on my fucking screen. And I got a really good TV now, right? So, like, calm the fuck on. Steph, what do you think about the style and structure?
You said it best, but I think just with the writing, the fact that every character, no one's truly a villain. They all just feel like real people that their goals seem palpable. You know, you can see why their motivations. No one's entirely a bad guy. The style, I agree with you. There just certain scenes are too dark, but beyond that, everything is really dope. The crab dude that they killed in the first 2-3 episodes, I thought he was gonna be the way they showed him it was always be kind of creepy from the back at first. I thought he was gonna be a main character, but
that could
just
be the whole
He's
first
like a
shots.
paragraph.
Yeah.
first season thread, man.
yeah, absolutely.
That thought, first of all, when Damon took him out, I thought it was badass, but at the other part, I was like, that's it.
Right.
Him and building
I thought-
up. But the whole point of that is more to build up what the Valerian fleet is, right? I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And how
But,
badass Damon can be. But I'm
Well,
right,
yeah, that quickly.
right there. And I remember Mike Mignola, one of my favorite comic book artists, tried to sell me on how creepy crabs were. And I was like, I don't know if they're that creepy.
They walk sideways.
watching
Yeah.
that shit's creepy as fuck. I've never seen crabs en masse. You know what I'm saying? I've never seen
Right.
crabs on something.
Oh, they
Like,
eat you.
they're
They
like
eat
pop-
Yeah, where that blew me away.
Yeah.
I
Snipping
love the
at the
scene
dude.
where dude's like finally like when
No.
dude's stake down and like Damon comes, he's like, my prince, and he just
Yes. And he just crushes his ass.
Dude, that was gonna happen, man. Like you saw
Yeah,
it.
you
It
can
was-
totally see that. Yeah.
Hell
I'd
yeah.
rather that than get eaten alive by crabs.
Yes.
That's
all I'm
true,
saying.
yeah. And
Much
you know,
more-
I'm going to say this: when they started discovering those hydrothermal vents in the very depths of the Pacific Ocean and shit, and those weird forms of crabs that came out from there, and they're
Yeah.
like I get it, I get it now, I get it, Mike Mignola, you got me. Now I'm scared of crabs, so I'll
That's
eat as
delicious
many as
meat.
I fucking can.
I eat you.
But I think the quickly just beyond that, the style is really cool. Like you guys said it earlier, like Stormfront, like that was really cool to see.
Storm's in.
Storm,
Yeah.
you see Storm's in. It's really cool to see fully realized and shit like that. It's like stuff you've heard mentioned or briefly seen, kind of expanded upon. So beyond the darkness, I think they've kind of
Even in the show where you're like, oh, we're going to Blackstone. You know, just shit like that. Like I want to see these worlds. I want to see, like, give me a map. Let me put it on my wall. I want to see it. Let me trace the journey of like Narnia across Horse and
I got against you,
right?
Restoration map.
Oh yeah. We were talking about all these crabs and the way that we can defeat the creepiness of crabs. Eat as many crabs as possible. Nobody
Absolutely.
eats as many fucking crabs as
agree.
possible as Jelani over there. Jelani, what do you think
Good
about the
taste.
solid structure?
Yeah, I'm a crab eater. Let's see. It's beautiful. Lord, I was gonna go back to a Lord Corliss quote, and I was trying to find it online, but I don't want to lose my connection here. So I'm gonna go as best as I can remember it. It's when he realizes, well, when Renice is trying to tell him that his grandkids aren't his. He's like, she's like, oh my goodness, you know, all this is happening. He's like, it's not the blood, it's in the name. He wants his name to live forever. He doesn't care who's the bloodline for it. And, you know, that's just that power. That's the way that power consumes. And how, you know, kings and successions, how these bloodlines move on and how legends are made. And Lord Corliss of Valerian wanted that more than anything. And I really like his character, but going on to the style structure, I mean, yeah, it's crafted well. It's written beautifully. Like it's Game of Thrones of old. It's like season 1 and season 2 Game of Thrones. The way that they're in it, because actually, you know, George R.R. Martin has a hand in this now. So he's guiding this, and Fire and Blood is basically just a template. It's just a series of things that happen. And so that's why it's just
like
a road.
Silmarillion kind of.
Yeah, like Silmarillion.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's just a roadmap. You can build it however they wish to do this. So it's just certain things are mentioned in Fire and Blood, but they're just like footnotes. You know?
Right, the
So
details.
Crab feeder is like a paragraph or less, you know, of how he lives and dies by Damon's hand. So it's certain things in the book, and I haven't read it myself, but I've gotten to realize that certain things are like that. But it's styled beautifully. Like I said, it's season 1, season 2 Game of Thrones. That's peak. Just really, really good to see it. Again, like I was enamored with this entire show. So far, it's like we didn't lose anything because Jon Snow's not there, you know, and Jon Snow was my favorite character. Yeah. And I love how this show has actually picked up the slack, how it's made characters out of I hate to say this, out of footnotes, but it's brilliant. I mean, even when you get Sir Laris, which technically we don't know who burned down Harrenhal in the book. It's kind of vague. It just burns down.
Oh wow!
So the Strongs are killed, but you don't know why. But then in this story, Sir Laris has done it. He's the one that killed it, and that's why he wanted his favor for the feet. So I mean, I get my favor one day. You know, I helped kill that Strong dude. Let me see your feet. Show it to me. Show it to me. So That's how. I mean, he said one day you would need to use it, and I love how all of this just plays together, like incest and murder and conniving and thieving things that you see in our world, but not in like a feudal society, like just like Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is very it's very steeped in. I hate that shit. Ugh. I make the comparison because they were the same thing. They're pretty much the same thing, except bad writers took over.
Oh yeah,
and shit the bed for the last few seasons. But this is Game of Thrones proper, and it's written for that aspect. I love it.
Nice. What do you think about style and structure, Brian?
Oh yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it was paced really well. I mean, 10-hour-long episodes, kind of hard to, you kind of expect some lulls, and I can't think of a single episode where I was just like, okay, let's move on to this next scene. It was just like, I was strung along the whole time. The CGI for the dragons was just spot on. I mean, you can point out numerous examples, but like one of my favorite scenes, and I know it was super dark, but when Damon was singing to the one, I don't know all the names, but I think it was one of the wild ones on Dragon Mountain. Like
it's either Smoke or Sector or Spot.
Sub-Zero.
Yeah.
There was a cool shot though where he was like the reflection in their eyes of each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a dope scene.
I love the way when it first shot the fire out. At that angle, it was super dark. It was the torch and him, and then it just went, and all that stuff. I thought just looked badass, man. It's so cool. And then I liked how, all the sets and everything like that. Some of that stuff CGI, but like the sets on Dragonstone, like when they were plotting out the war and they put the coals and they made a point to show you getting the coals ready, and they're doing all that stuff with the inspiring music and they slide it in and then that table starts glowing. I was like, that's fucking dope, man. That someone would even think that they could do that back then, right? And it worked, right? I don't know. It was like, I always like things where there's just a lot of effort put into it because they didn't, that wasn't totally necessary,
right?
At all. They didn't, do anything, but it was fucking cool. I mean, so I don't know. I love when shows do stuff like that, and then
there's goes a long way.
Yeah. And then I like the mirroring aspect of and I know we'll talk about themes there and cyclical nature and everything, but that the confrontations on the bridge, in the last episode, you had that confrontation that was almost the same as the previous one, but
it was Damon
and
Hightower, right? When it was Otto, Damon.
But wait, I thought it was the same people.
It was, but at first it was mostly Damon because he was confronting Damon on that bridge. Remember?
Yeah.
Bow down and and all that shit. But
and then Rhaenyra comes in the dragon both times, and
exactly.
I mean, but I just because as soon as that scene started in that last episode, oh, this is so cool. It's right back to the beginning. That's that.
Yep.
And I fall for that every time. That's not they're not blazing the ground by doing that the first time, but I fall for that every time. So
yeah, me too, man. I love those mirroring things. I love the parallels. Like for instance, in the first episode. And I remember some people had some fits about the first episode because they were like, why is Viserys getting the choice in the birth of, in the childbirth scenario with his wife at the time, right? Rhaenyra's mother. But how that parallels in that final episode when Rhaenyra is in a similar situation, she does have the choice. And she just, if you thought it is badass when she has that baby and goes and takes it to Alicent. But that is another parallel with that same scene where she loses the baby, but it's all on her choice. That was powerful as fuck to me, man. That was amazing.
She forced that baby out. That's crazy.
She's like, get out of me, bro. That's intense.
Yeah. That was the hardest scene for me to watch.
Yeah.
I rewatched the last episode and I fast forwarded through that part. I was like, I remember just
a lot of work. Yeah.
Any childbirth scene is hard for me to watch, period. Because I hate to say it, and but I'm just never would I ever want to go through that childbirth in any kind of fucking way. That's seems like bro, I know what it's like when you're constipated and you got to finally drop it. That's bad. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, but your body isn't going out of its shape to do it. Right.
Exactly.
Right,
That's
being
what I'm
contorted
saying.
and
That's a
yeah.
pale comparison. Speaking of pale comparisons, Brooks, what do you think about the style and structure of this show?
I think it was good. It took its time to build everything up. Every character got their moments. The characters were really good. Like I said, I don't think there weren't characters that were as endearing as, say, the Starks from Game of Thrones, but they are pretty. There are a lot of good characters that you like. They're just a little more flawed, I think, because a lot of them are in power. Like the Starks
Right.
were just like they were wardens of the North. Like they had authority, but they were more like
They
kind
live
of
like
distant
everyday
from the
people.
rest of the kingdoms. They were kind of their
Right.
own thing. But with the Targaryens, like they all know they're hot shit, so they're going to act accordingly. But yeah, I mean, I think it was a great build up. The finale was really good, and like I can't wait to see more of it.
Just like Lee Zepp here
I agree.
says, when Rhaenys comes in on that dragon, oh my
Bro.
god!
Yeah.
You mean
She didn't
from
I
the
mean,
she didn't
floor?
really say nothing. She
That's
just
what- she just looked at these motherfuckers
Yeah.
like, I wish you would.
right.
I wish you would. I'm not going to kill this fucker. Because at that moment, we're like, so this Aegon fucker doesn't want to be king. He's going to be a shit king. And then all of a sudden, he's like, oh,
Yeah,
they
he gets his
love
moment
me.
where he got the sword up.
Yeah.
He's
He's like,
yeah,
yeah,
I
I
might
like this. I can
this.
get into it. Yeah.
And then
Then
you're
all
like,
of a sudden-
oh, no. We don't want that kind of dude to be like this. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Get infected by this.
Also getting Joffrey vibes.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like
definitely
Joffrey.
vibes.
Well, I guess pre-Joffrey.
Yeah. But
He's got all those bastard kids running around.
when Rhaenys shows up, and she is, and we didn't mention her really yet, but like she
she's
is
awesome.
the low key the sleeper hit of this goddamn season.
Yep.
Because she
Yeah,
starts
she's
off as
awesome.
being the person passed over because she's a woman.
Right.
And then obviously we'll get into theme, but obviously a big part of this story is that they won't allow Rhaenyra to be queen because she's a woman, and that happened to Rhaenys. So there's a parallel there, and I don't know if I want to say like a connection between the two, but she understands what's going on and the importance of this moment in history. Bruh. She would have went along with it if they wouldn't have locked her ass up, bro. By the way,
Yeah.
I probably would have sided
You
with
killed my son.
you know what I'm saying?
Killed my daughter. Yeah.
Fuck y'all.
Yep.
Dragons, motherfucker. I'd be dragging these nuts across your faces with she did these nuts right there in that fucking moment. Music in the movie or in the show. So the music is fantastic. The first thing is in the second episode, when we finally get like the credit roll, right? I was like, what are they going to do? Because Game of Thrones has one of the most iconic credit rolls and themes out there. They just did it again. They did the
It's not broken down. Yeah.
Don't fix it.
They changed up the imagery.
However,
Yeah.
they changed the image, so it's the bloodlines of the Targaryens going through, right? And whenever there's a new person introduced, they add it in. So that's cool because they did that in Game of Thrones, where they would add the new cities that they were talking about, right? So they were adding the new bloodlines and the new heirs or whatnot. That was cool. In hindsight, I'm glad they used that. I almost feel like this is a redemption tour. This is the redeem team. You know what I'm saying? They're coming in. They're like, we know how y'all felt about the way Game of Thrones ended. This is still Game of Thrones, but we got a plan this time, and we know the end. We know where we're going.
You know where this is.
And George is here with us. Like he's going to help us through this while he's writing the other. Hopefully, I guess for people like Brooks and Jelani that read these books, like I hope you get them.
I doubt
Me
it.
too. It's been like what 10 years?
Well, he's like 3/4 of the way of the Wind's Winter. So,
but he's
it's
been
almost
3/4 of the way for fucking
movie.
15
it's
years.
almost over.
Yeah.
So that being
And then
said,
Dream of Spring is after that though. So we got another 20 years to wait for that one.
it ain't gonna finish, brother. So
He's not
like,
young.
I mean,
Whatever the Dream of Spring's gonna be, I have no clue.
Stephen King's Dark Tower is like breath in the fucking wind. Compared to fucking Game of Thrones. This shit started in the early 90s or something like that, I think is when it first started. Maybe before that. I don't really know. I'm not an expert. I have the first novel, but I've never read it. The music though is great. there are new themes that are introduced that are very strong, that work very well. They don't straight go like Bride of Frankenstein, which we just talked about, where each character has a theme, but each house has a theme. There is a Targaryen theme that's thrown in here that is also kind of what's the word? Is it extrapolated from the from some of the Targaryen stuff with what's her fucking name? Emilia Clarke.
Daenerys.
Daenerys, yeah.
There's some bits that are pulled from there, but they do their own thing with it. But I do think that it's good to go back to that dun 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 dun, because that shit slaps. Speaking of slapping Steph is here. What do you think about the music?
Wow. I didn't notice it too much, but I mean, I guess that's good. Like it was nothing stood out in a bad way. Everything seemed fitting. I do know I like the usage of their drums. Or would those be like 808 drums they use, or when stuff starts to get amped up, there's like a big drum segment that's pretty dope. But
yeah, I got you.
like you, I was like, at first I was like, they're just reusing the theme, like that, how lazy, but it works like that. I couldn't see anything else other than that. And it's just like a prequel. It's, it's Game of Thrones, House of Dragons, so
yeah,
music's great.
Playing with the same thing, doing something different. Remember the wedding, right? Or they had their own wedding.
Yeah.
That's when Cole goes fucking crazy and kills Lenore, who kills his fucking lover. Like,
Joffrey, yeah.
Y'all would have had the perfect life. Y'all would have the perfect goddamn, like, I will be the queen, the queen, the heir of the throne. I will be her whore, and I will allow her lover, quote unquote, to do his thing too. Like, I'm cool with that, man. We're sex positive.
We all win.
At PC.
Yeah, everybody's winning.
And this score is sex positive, I'll tell you that. What about you, Jelani?
Yes,
But anyway, the wedding, they're doing the dance, that music, because shit's about to go down, because you know how weddings go.
It's a wedding.
In these show, in this show.
Yeah.
It's a wedding. Someone's gonna die.
You could really call Game of Thrones like 4 Weddings and a Funeral Part 2.
I like
weddings,
it.
4 funerals.
Yeah.
Be more like 4 funerals and another funeral.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. 4 funerals, a wedding, and another funeral, and a few more weddings.
But yeah, the music's fine. I mean, it's derivative of the first show because it takes a few bars out, and it skips a little because it's bloodlines and not places on the screen. So it cuts out portions of the beginning from the original Game of Thrones theme, but it's still there. It's still that thank you, and I'm like, yeah, I like it. But I mean, if they made another one, it probably would have slapped too. But not as hard as Game of Thrones entrance. So true. I will give them credit for like just continuing it. The music is very muted for me, except for of course the battle scenes.
Right.
And you're right, Steph, about the drums. It's very muted to me. So I don't. I mean, I'm more into the intrigue of it anyway.
Those Valerian sequences.
Yeah.
Which I really like.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? It makes it feel like a little bit more tribal, a little bit more like there's. It made me feel like some Serpent in the Rainbow type shit, almost.
Yeah.
Actually, like some of the horror fest stuff that we.
Oh yeah, but yeah, it's good. It's very good, and I'm going by opening alone. The closings are pretty decent too.
Well, the closings are great because there's not a show this year aside from Cobra Kai that makes me want to listen to the entire credit roll just to hear the song that they play. Man,
yeah.
Cobra Kai does it the best. Let's be honest, okay? But come on, man. I think there's some good ending, beginning, and throughout. But like you said, it is a bit muted, but it also does its job where you don't notice it as much. Speaking of not noticing it as much, but it does its job. Brian works for the National Defense System. So what do you think about the music in this film or this series?
Yeah.
What is this, PCP movie night? You piece of shit.
Yeah.
Television.
Better not be Monday. I love the music. And yeah, I didn't have a problem with the theme being the same. I mean, it's a great theme song. I mean, it's I always liked it. And then, but I thought there was lots of effective scenes with the music, and one of the most effective ones was the very last scene. The way it was the kind of slow motion walk up there, and it was kind of calm and everything like that, and then like it sounded sad and everything like that. And then all of a sudden it just starts getting more menacing as her body language starts changing and she starts getting, over that initial reaction, and then turning on the vengeance, and then that turnaround.
Just a whole masterful thing, man.
Yeah.
Like he's telling the camera's following them from behind when he tells her, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anybody else would do that close up, her reaction. Let's sell this. Dude, they sold it even more by doing it that way.
Yep. Yeah. But and I think the music was part of that. I mean, because I mean, the body language, everything was just like, oh God, and it's like, and it's funny because like that, it was just like, 20 minutes after that, it was just like, well, now we got to wait for season 2. I mean, because that, like, I don't think you could end it with a better cliffhanger.
And we ain't getting season 2 in 2023. Apparently, it's 2024.
Yeah,
man,
2 years, baby.
Look at how much they put into the show, man.
You know what though?
Crazy.
If I can wait for Stranger Things, and they keep
true,
better, right?
True.
And keep slapping.
Right now, my favorite television show this year, and we're going to do this obviously for Festivus or whatnot for year-end streams, but it's Stranger Things or this right now, man. They're like right the fuck there.
They're neck and neck.
The only thing is Stranger Things has got over it is I'm like, well, I can see everything on the screen.
And you're running up that hill.
Yeah, and you're running up that hill, you know what I'm saying? What do you think about the music, Brooks, of this season?
Well, I think the music in this show has been all right so far. I mean, I don't really remember any of it in particular, like I did Game of Thrones. But
right.
I've watched Game of Thrones more too. So like, there are certain like musical pieces from Game of Thrones. I'm like da 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 da. I haven't had any like music like that stood out for me, but given time, I'll imagine I'll probably like begin to notice themes and.
Well, we got a whole year.
Yeah, it's gonna
watch
keep
this
going.
shit, right?
Yeah.
And this is something I will rewatch, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna rewatch this one so I can
Absolutely
see the story anymore as more of a whole.
Oh, those first 5 episodes are gonna feel way different next time we watch them.
Yeah, it's way different watching a show like with a week in between each part, and watching it more like maybe an episode or 2 a day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, anytime
you forget a lot. You can forget a lot in a week.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime
like,
they open the show with
all the gaps.
Oh my bad.
What were you saying, Steph?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, anytime like because of how they open the show or how it's like anytime I see like the show start off with a certain character, now I'm gonna expect them to die because of the last episode.
Yes.
A lot of people gonna die, man.
No, that's name of the game.
These people will be dead by Game of Thrones.
But the thing is, we're used to this shit now, right? And I feel relieved that it's not going to be like where I watch a show and I'm like, as much as I love, let's say, Justified, one of my favorite television shows of all time. There are moments where I felt that maybe Raylan was going to die, but that really only happened at the end, right? At the very, very end. But at the same time, I knew that it's safe. We're going to keep this one villain and this one hero alive to the end. I don't understand. I don't take that for granted.
Justified.
You know what I'm saying? I don't like, and I haven't read this book, and this book reads more like a history book, more like Second Chronicles, if you know your Bible stories. But like, it's just about succession and what happens for the House of Targaryen, right? And they go over stuff very quickly. Somebody in the chat mentioned that this season only covered 20 pages, which covered like 25 to 30 years. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot.
Footnotes. It's all footnotes.
It's all footnotes, which means that they have room to play with, but they also have an outcome, which they never had in Game of Thrones. They never knew where they were fucking going.
True.
Right? Even George Martin right now is like, oh, I'm going to rewrite the end now, man. Because what you know what I'm saying?
It would have worked.
But
they rushed it.
I got you. There's a lot of themes being played with in this show. And one of the great things about a television series over, or even a streaming series over like just a one and done movie, is you have more room to play with multiple themes. So What are you picking out of this, Steph? What has this series spoke to you?
Easy one. Absolute power corrupts, but people don't like to be put in a box. Everyone, throughout the show, people had issues with being categorized with one thing or being seen a certain way.
A little bit about identity then, right?
Yeah, identity, absolutely. Everyone's got facets, and they want to be able to express those.
Hell
So
yeah.
I'll go with that.
They got those expectations as well put on them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they got their expectations, but then they got the reality, and where does that work together? Right?
How do you mesh those? Yeah.
Exactly. Nice. What about you, Jelani?
You're right. I agree, Steph. It's absolute power corrupts, absolutely, and it just does. And
Yeah.
With this show, it like I've said many times, it's kings and queens and successions. It's all the bloodline. That's why monarchies are so fun to watch, because it's just treacherous. It's just great people just doing whatever they feel
Bro,
like.
does anybody else, by the way, we hate it here in America, even that Queen Elizabeth passed away. She was a great queen, I guess. We don't really know. But like,
Right.
is anybody else disappointed there wasn't like a battle for succession?
Yeah.
Charles has to mount his
With
dragon.
dragons. It would have been a lot better with dragons. But
You're onto something.
yeah.
I like that.
But it's so beautiful, like the way it's told, and the theme that I get from it, I guess, other than power, I guess it's just being. I guess we said it. I guess you said it. It's just being pigeonholed, being put in your place by something that is out of your control.
Right.
And the fact that it's out of your control to that point, it becomes all that your life becomes. Because look at Allison. Allison is basically thrown into this war, like unknowingly by her father. Her father's just like, go comfort the king. And that's all it needed. That's all he needed to like set that off. And then that misunderstanding that I keep bringing up, because it's so messed up that she never heard the Song of Ice and Fire. And I think it's only passed on from king to successor every chance. And that's why it was only told to Rhaenyra, because she's the only one that knows the story. Aegon doesn't know that story. Alicent doesn't know that story, and it's basically passed on that way. So
he doesn't even tell his hands.
Right,
Otto doesn't know that
Wow.
story.
Otto doesn't know it.
Right?
Otto doesn't know that story.
And
It's
Jack
Aegon
Black
the
doesn't
Conqueror.
know it either. I don't remember his name in the show, but he's Jack Black's uncle.
He doesn't know that Strong, Brother Strong. Yeah. It's basically all of that, and I feel it's a misunderstanding as well. Not just power. I just think it's how certain things
a part of it, man.
Yeah, and how we do deal with that too.
It's very similar to Three's Company.
Yeah.
It is. When it comes to
It is.
songs.
That's what they should change the theme song.
It's all hers.
And Viserys is just Mr. Furley.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's
Don Knotts.
Who's Don Knotts up in this motherfucker, man? Viserys should have shown up being like, wait a second, he's gay? Yeah, who may or may not be the lead singer of Sugar Ray, says the ambitions of second sons, they don't inherit. Otto, Daemon, Aemon, Corlys, that's right there, bro. That's like, it's like, for instance, and this will go into what I want to say, but like how much responsibility they feel versus how much responsibility is actually put on the people in that place. You know what I'm saying? Like with Viserys and Rhaenyra, right? So there's something. And then that one, Eric, says, did anyone else think that this was super explicit for How You Train Your Dragon prequel? What about you, Brian? What's the show speaking to you? What's the theme to you?
Well, the first thing I was going to talk about was the ambition, like Mark McGrath said, because like where and because absolute power corrupts absolutely, but the ambition, the things that these people were willing to do to get this power, whether they were good or not, they were I'm not a big fan of, the ends justifying the means, right? I mean, that's if your end, I mean, if your desired end is this, peak of power and everything like that, the means that all these people were going through to get there, it's just like, Corliss. I thought that was a really powerful scene between Corliss and Rhaenys, where she was like, "You abandoned me," and then that, he turned, right? He was like, "Holy shit," and the scales fell off, right? And he's like, 45, 50 years old, right? And he's finally realized, like, his whole life, he's, wanted this one thing, and it's just cost him everything. I mean, I thought that was a very powerful scene. And then, and then the psychical nature of reality kind of thing, where things kind of repeat, not in the same way, but they do kind of repeat a lot. And then like what I was mentioning earlier with the bullying of Aemon, he kind of becomes a bully, but it does drive him and things like that. But then, like, there's the mirroring and all these kind of scenes repeating, and it's just I always find that fascinating, the psychical nature of the when they put that in there, and everything. So those are the main ones.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Lee Zepp says the mothers kill or be killed nature when protecting their children. The women rule from behind the scenes.
Oh yeah.
A big part of this, I think a big part of this series is maybe it's time for them to rule in the scene. I guess right there up front, like you were saying. Speaking of up front, Brooks is the most upfront about all of us about his sex positive nature. He just lays it all out there on the fucking freeway. Brooks, what did you think about the theme? What's this show saying to you so far?
Well, I think a big thing, like overarching theme of this is the flaws in the power structure, really, of the monarchy, because Viserys is the king. Like, supposedly what he says goes, but like he says, my daughter is my heir. Right. And yet he keeps getting fucking dragged back out to have to repeat himself over and over again.
He has to show up in that Phantom. He has to show up in that Phantom of the Opera mask and be like, "Bro, I thought we already talked about this."
He's like, "Why are we talking about this?" And like every time, so like, and the fact that there's all these moving parts to this, power structure, like all these different nobles, like vying for their own power, and like Viserys is, as the king, he just wants his family to get along with each other. He wants them to not fight, to be content to, like he set out, this is how it's going to be after I'm gone. And like, this is what I expect y'all to do. But like every time he's always getting pushback. He's like, everybody's fighting him. Like, and, also his brother, he has a lot of problems with his brother, who he had his heir before. And like, he's like, he has to basically be like, all right, you're not the heir anymore. But and that's the strain that it puts on all of his relationships, and in the end, like once he's dead, like everything just goes to shit anyway. Like like monarchy just doesn't work because
Facts.
Even when someone has that absolute power, they really don't. Like and especially it's like that's a theme in like a lot of like shows and stories dealing with monarchy is like they seem to have power, but at the same time, they're like so constrained and restrained by that power that they're almost, as helpless as any of us in a lot of ways.
Even in a supposed democracy like we live in today, it's the few that are making those decisions. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's the cabinet, it's the high council, right? It's these people like they don't represent us.
The Westeros Wonders?
We're not fucking there. We're the Westeros Wonders. We're here to God damn it. We're here for every season finale of House of the Dragon. It better be the 5 of us because we're the Westeros Wonders, God damn it. Anyway.
Let's ride,
baseball team.
I'll hit the nail on the head. What I want to do is elaborate more on this. Responsibility to me is the theme, right? Mm-hmm. And the question is this. So many of us take on a responsibility because of our name, because of our profession, because of where we are at a certain point of our lives. We decide that we have to we're this. So I'm responsible now for delivering 50 comic books reviewed every fucking week or something. Or I'm responsible for doing this job for my fucking shit. Like I'm responsible for doing this. Like, and you get pigeonholed, like you guys were saying. It's about identity. It's about family. Vin Diesel?
Thanks, Dom.
I need a Vin Diesel standee up in here. Come on, somebody hook me up with a Vin Diesel standee. And please, just pop them up in the back whenever we need them. But
Maybe Manny can get you like a Vin Diesel filter.
right, I should, yeah. Manny, where are you at, man? Manny's like, bro, I ain't watched House of the Dragon. I'm sorry. Anyway, if he did, he would be here as a dragon probably right the fuck now. Or he'd have sapphire eye is what he would probably have.
Yep.
Manny's pretty clever. So, and station to Manny. Manny's the best of us. Like, let's just be honest.
Yeah.
All right. But responsibility, right? Like, there's the responsibility that's put on us. That's not your actual responsibility. And Rhaenyra's going through this in this final episode. Am I supposed to be the queen and plunge the kingdom into war? Or should I just allow this to happen? Right? And we have the ambition of the Second Sons. That was, Mark, that was more brilliant than your 1459 album for Sugar Ray, if that in fact is true. And I like to think that you are, but if you're not, I still love you. And my favorite thing about Mark is now on Rockin' Robbie Live, he starts opening up with like quotes from Sugar Ray.
I like it.
Like, I don't fucking know.
Every morning.
That's the thing. If Mark McGrath is actually that Mark McGrath, is his responsibility to be Sugar Ray to us? No. Mark's responsibility is to be the best Mark that Mark can be for the good of the community, right? And that
Mark my words.
Mark my so that Mark, if you have a YouTube channel, it should be called Mark My Words.
No.
And you owe Brooks at least 5 cents for a YouTube video because we know how much money you actually make.
I need them nickels.
Anyway, in fact, I owe Brooks $1.55, I think. However, it's about that responsibility, but misplaced responsibility versus actual responsibility. There's so many times, even in my own life, where I felt my responsibility was one thing when it should have been something else. And I've lost out in my life because of that, right? But at the same time, I'm on a path which I think is chasing my true responsibility, right? So purpose is not based on family. It's not based on your profession. It's not based on your expectations from other people around you. Your responsibility is to better your life and to better the people's lives around you. That's responsibility. And this show is showing how expectations, whether from society, whether from family, whether from those closest to us or those furthest from us, hinders our actual pursuit of purpose and community. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, man.
What's that?
No notes, Brian. Off the dome, just so you know. Brian was asking me earlier how I prepare for these shows. So there you go. Now it's time to rate this season, the entire season of House of the Dragon Season 1. You out there in the chat, we want to know, out of 5 you digs, what do you give it? Steph, kick us off.
I'm going to go with the easy 5, especially because I was hesitant coming into the show. And when at the end of a show, I'm like, God damn it, I have to wait. That's done its job. So I'm going to give it a 5. Like I feel Brooks though, there was a slow build up into this as opposed to Game of Thrones, but once you're in the mix, you're there. And it doesn't take long to get into the mix. Slow build up.
Hell yeah. Get into that mix, make a good souffle, quiche. I don't fucking know what you do with the mix of ingredients. Anyway, you can remix it. Anyway, 5 you digs, a perfect score. I mean, that's a strong way to start us off. What about you, Jelani? What do you give it out of 5 you digs?
It's good. It's really good. It brought back Game of Thrones for me, like in a big way. So I absolutely adore it. I'll always love the hot D. But yeah, I'm giving it a 4.5. Yes,
that's strong.
I'll give it a 4.5 for now. That hot D is something.
4.5 for the hot D alone. What about you, Brian?
It's a 5 for me. I got nothing to. I can't think of a thing I'd really nitpick. You know, I mean, like I said, I was thrown off, you know, with that time jump, but I mean that was 20 minutes out of like 10 hours. Right. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, and I mean,
and there's so much to like about it in those first 5 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. But
like,
yeah, I mean that.
But the story going forward is all.
It was more the switch. Like there's
Yeah.
a
Right.
6-year time jump before there's a 10-year one, and we didn't give a shit.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or maybe it's the
Right.
6 year after. Whatever. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but yeah,
Go
you're right. I mean, it's more the actress, the actress switch there. So, yeah, and I cannot. I mean, a show like a couple hours afterwards, and I'm still trying to figure out where all the things are hanging and replaying all
Still
these things.
thinking about it.
Yeah, it
Trying
works.
to figure out where that hot D is hanging. That's what you're saying.
You gotta know where
left
it's
to right, left to
You
right.
can make a sound clip of Jelani saying, "I love the hot D."
Yeah, I love the hot D.
Somebody has Manny. You out there? Like that's what we're doing. Art
Keep
McGrath.
giving y'all gold, man.
Art McGrath of Sugar Ray fame says a solid 4.5. Just want to throw that out.
Oh yes.
Continue,
But
Brian.
yeah, probably my expectations also helped that too, because
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't say they were rock bottom expectations, but I didn't have high expectations going in. I just was
Same.
like, yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot.
To watch it.
It's
Yep.
like that breakthrough first Eminem album when he's like, it's rock bottom. When you made it through 8 seasons of Game of Thrones, it's rock bottom. When you go to the House of the Dragon, you remember that? They cut those lines out. Dre was like, bruh, this is way too ahead of its time.
It's Game of Thrones.
What's Game of Thrones? Yeah.
It's this book that just came out.
That's why Dre is the fucking legend, man. There you go.
That
Speaking
is.
of legends, Brooks, out of 5 you digs, what do you give this show?
I'd give this one a 5 too. I really liked it, and it's like I don't know if I'd say as good as the first Game of Thrones season, but I mean it does well what Game of Thrones did with like balancing like the nerd shit of high fantasy with like the more mainstream like kind
Political
of
intrigue.
soap opera type drama, but
Yep.
it's not boring. It's interesting. Like it's got good character development, good writing. It's just so like every time a new episode will come out, like you'd want to watch it like right away.
Right.
It was a show that you really looked forward to every week.
There are episodes of Rockin' Robbie Live that were 30, 45 minutes shorter because I was like, oh, fuck, Game of Thrones.
Gotta get it.
Heck yeah.
Gotta get the hot D.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, baby.
I look forward to the next season, even if you have to wait like a little bit longer.
Exactly.
I just hope they they take that time to do it right.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
worried
yeah.
because they're like, right now we're gonna green light a prequel to House of the Dragon, focusing on Corlys and House of Valerian and what happened before. I'm like, well, no.
Did they really?
Slow down.
I've seen people share shit about it, but
Oh shit, yeah.
this is 2022.
No, yeah.
That could be real or not. Like, who knows? That could be some fake.
Nowadays.
Like,
Well, they might want to throw something out there just to like keep the interest like
no,
in the interim.
no, don't.
That's how you muddy the waters.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary really.
This is something that Stranger Things proved to us this year. We will wait for quality.
Wait. Yep.
Worth the wait. Yeah.
We will wait for quality.
Yep. Take notes, She-Hulk.
We'll wait 20 years for season 2. We just want you to get it right, She-Hulk.
Get it right.
Anyway,
Get it right.
everything this year is going to be. I can't wait for the Festivus stream. I bet Jelani's first grievance is going to be She-Hulk. Probably me for having him do 9 episodes.
Yep.
Anyway, that's fine. I'm cool with it. The one thing I can nitpick about this show is that there are moments where I literally cannot see what is going on the fucking screen.
That's why they filmed during the day and added the filter.
That shit pisses me
Battle
off
in a
so
film,
bad.
man.
Well, we filmed it at night. Could you imagine if we filmed it at night, like the night filter? Oh, you're right. You don't want to do that. Okay. Here's
I think
the
I've gotten
thing,
so used to that, like just all kinds of movies and shows
You've gotten
or
used
have
to
that
not
too
being
dark,
able
so
to
dark
see
you can't
it.
see it shit.
Bruh,
That-
no, that's not you. Time back to the theme. It's not your responsibility to get used to not being able to see what the fuck is on the screen.
Wow.
It's like Marvel
true.
fucking comic book
I
coloring.
don't know, I'm
right now.
saying is like it didn't bother me as much because I think I've just gotten so used to it by now. Like,
So
Yeah.
let me finish my bit. There are literally moments where I cannot see what the fuck is going on. But at the end of the day, I don't care. Right? I really don't. Like when I read a Marvel comic that has shitty coloring and a shitty story, I get pissed off.
Well,
When I
because you know
watch
it's going to
that-
keep happening.
Because I know it's going to keep happening. When I know that House of the Dragon, there's literally only if all in all, probably 20 minutes of this entire season where I'm like, I can't see what's going on. Like I was like every week, I was like, I couldn't see nothing. Is something wrong with me? Do I have my settings wrong on my TV? I researched the fuck out of it and now I'm full board into filmmaker mode, just so y'all know. And that being said, moments that are hard to see, but I don't give a shit because I'm enthralled. I'm engaged. I am compelled by every character, including the characters I hate, like Otto Hightower, Eamon.
Sir
I hate
Christian
both
Cole.
of those motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Christian Cole, the foot fucker guy, like the foot baiter.
Yeah.
They're strong.
Well, to be
And
honest,
it's so
strong, baby.
take my strong hand.
Yeah.
Yes.
when I
Your
asked
feet,
Justin,
girl.
this guy, what has he got, a foot fetish? He's like, well, his foot's
He's got foot fetish because his
Because he can't only has one good
Like,
foot.
no,
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. So I'm gonna go 5 you digs. I think it's one of the best shows I've seen all year. I love it. So all of us 5 you digs, except for Jelani, pulled a Frankenstein with Brooks with a 4.5. But that's okay. That gives a PCP average of 4.9. 69 dudes. Yes.
Nice.
We need more 69s. Jelani would have brought this up to a 5 if there was more nudity and sex. I'm sure.
Yes. Yes.
That's one
Unless-
thing Game of Thrones has over it.
Yeah, less
I'm sorry. I mean,
solo
he knows me.
eroticism based on foot fetish.
That didn't work for you?
Feet don't work for me. I'm not sex.
We're
I'm
sex positive here, guys. Yeah, we're
It's
sex
probably the
positive.
most rewind scene on the whole thing, right?
If you look
Wait a
that
minute.
up, Brian,
It's
how many
easy to
times?
put
Brooks is, I mean, Brian's like, I rewound it like 4 times.
Yeah.
Feet gotta look like fingers.
And I didn't feel like I did it enough.
Nice. Let's get
Yo.
through our review of House of the Dragon Season 1. This was super fun. This was awesome. We'll be back
Oh,
for
yeah.
episode 2. We'll be back week to week for Secret Invasion in 2023. But the next PCP TV night, if you want to call it that, which Manny dubbed us, and I really like that, we'll go along with it, will be the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. So join us in late November when we talk about that, because I'm super pumped because James Gunn just made Kevin Feige break out into a cold fucking sweat.
Fuck yes.
He's taking over DC. Oh, dude. I literally said that half-assed drunk on a fucking Rockin' Robbie live. I was like, James, they should just give James Gunn the fucking keys to the kingdom.
How do you guys feel about this? James Gunn directing the next Superman movie. Eric actually has been tossing around that idea, and that shit seems so perfect.
And guess who gets to make those decisions?
Yeah.
Who
He
directs
can-
what? James
He
Gunn.
was like, yeah.
He can do whatever the fuck he wants now, man.
Yep.
He could.
Peacemaker is proof, though.
He's gonna
Yes,
go weird.
yes.
Though. He's gonna go weird though. He's gonna go. Amethyst is gonna be the next cornerstone of the DC.
He can make it work though.
Yep.
Yo,
He'll make it work.
he'll make it work.
I've been waiting for that my whole fucking life, man. Hell
I mean, he made Peacemaker cool. I mean, the only
Yeah.
thing that was
Exactly.
interesting about Peacemaker before was that he was the guy that they based the comedian on.
exactly. He's
Yeah.
the inspiration
I mean,
for
that's
comedian. That's it.
That's
That's it.
Not
yeah,
even
I
Jeff Lemire can make us fucking care. No, Peacemaker.
And it made me like John Cena. That's what
Yeah.
brings it over. That's why
And, I
that
can-
show.
and Brooks could finally see him.
I was gonna say he was funny, but I could never see his ass. So that's
All right. Thank you all for joining us tonight for House of the Dragon. We'll be back for season 2 in 2024. But before that, Guardians of the Galaxy Halloween or holiday special and fucking what did I just say? Secret Invasion, other things, Marvel shows. We will not be here.
they won't be
off the
She-Hulk. though.
dome, man.
It
Not
won't be Shield. Thank
Anyway,
goodness.
Steph, thank you for joining us. Final thoughts.
Thank you guys for having me. Yes.
Nice. I like that. I like that. Brooks. I mean, fuck. God damn it. I don't know who's who. Delaney, final thoughts.
Yeah, I really wish we'd done this week to week. This would have been awesome. I
This was
really
more fun,
love talking
though,
about
right?
this stuff with you guys. It was awesome.
It's
tonight.
identity.
I really, yeah,
We're-
it is.
We find an identity.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
right.
late.
Very late, but it's
I'm
okay.
learning my responsibility with this channel. Whether we should go week to week with She-Hulk or week to week with House of the Dragon.
Live in House of Dragon. But you I don't think you had it before. Yeah, before. So I understand. What was it? Oh yeah, I have a Facebook group called A Group of Ice and Fire. If you want to find it, please get on there. We have funny memes for stuff and such like that. I want to just make people know about a group of Ice and Fire. Surprisingly, no one's taken that name, so it's relatively easy to find. And usually, it's usually the top of the search if you want to look for it. So yeah, it's a Facebook group, and we are full spoiler group. So you walk in, listen, you might see some stuff. You gonna see some stuff if you didn't watch the episode before.
From the moment a new episode starts, do not log on to your Facebook whatsoever.
Don't do it. Yeah,
because we know how the Facebook algorithm is. Where sometimes you're like, I didn't want to know that yet.
Yeah, it's full
spoilers.
Internet, baby.
You're not paying attention enough. Google, come on. What's going on?
That's all right.
Maybe Google's paying attention, but they're like, we're not selling this shit to Facebook.
Yeah, and you know, a full-blown maester that's in our group. He's a maester that knows pretty much anything and everything about the books, anything and everything about fantasy. So if you want to go in and ask questions, I like to sell stuff. He's awesome. So yeah, there I'm done.
We're sex positive here, so they are in the group of Ice and Fire. What about you, Brian? Thank you again for joining us. You haven't been on any of these TV reviews, so final thoughts.
No, I haven't, and thanks for having me. This has been really fun, and I was really excited to talk more about this show. And I did forget to mention that my wife's favorite character was Damon. Esther, she's all into that, and I had him third.
If your wife wants to be on the show, she can be on the show.
Okay, I'll ask her
next for herself. We're in a new age, man. Rhaenyra is going to be queen. God damn it!
Yep.
My father said 25 years ago that she would be queen. All those, but that's a great scene, by the way. When all those fuckers are like, you know what? No, you cool. You cool, bro.
Yeah. Do your thing.
I don't care who's king, man. Like, sit down.
But yeah, I did want to bring up, we got some conversations coming up, right? We got the, let's see, the November 3rd is Alex Packnadell.
That's right.
Nice.
Looking forward to that. Got a new book.
Our very first creator interview was
It was
Alex.
I expect to be less nervous this time. Not much, but
Well, he's got the new book Owl Against All by Casper Wingard as well. I'm very excited to chat with him.
Yeah, very
Plus he's been doing some DC and Marvel work since then, so that's cool too.
Yeah, definitely. And then
I can't wait till behind the scenes I ask him why does Marvel editorial suck so much, Alex? Like, why is Ron not good on? And the other thing I'll ask him, not on air, but I'll be like, dude, what's Giga?
Yeah. That's what I actually thought that because I had a Facebook memory show up.
We're not going to do that on the air, man.
No, not on the air. I thought that too, but like I had a Facebook memory show up for today. 3 years ago today, I got the special edition covers of Giga.
Bro, could you imagine?
Was that issue 3?
Could you imagine we started the show and we're like, Alex, great to be here, man. What's up with Giga and picture of everything else by Dan Waters? What's going on?
Yeah. You're like,
he'll be like, thank you. Leave studio.
Yep.
No, we love Alex. Very excited for that.
Then
right after that, on the 6th, I believe.
Yeah. On the 6th, it's John Lees and Joe Mulvey.
Nice.
We've had John on. This will be the third time John's been on. Because and then it'll be the first time for Joe, and excited because I'm definitely excited about the new book, but his art's pretty awesome. He did Wailing Blade, and if y'all haven't read that, you'll love that, especially
most recently Happy Hill.
I'm sorry.
Most recently Happy Hill, both with Rich Dewick, friend of the show.
And he also wrote a children's book, which I actually have behind me here.
Bro, you're gonna bring that shit out when Joe's on the channel, aren't you? It's gonna be so embarrassing.
Joe's on the channel.
It'll be so embarrassing.
It's got a children's book you can find. So.
Oh, nice. That's dope.
It's pretty cool. And so, I don't know. Excited for those conversations. So.
Yeah, get excited for that. We're at the end of Horror Fest, and Rockin' Robbie Live's off for a couple weeks, but like, we got the conversation with Alex Packnadell. We got the conversation with John Lees and Joe Mulvey coming up. So, hell yeah, we're good. We got some good content coming up, and probably our last creator conversations of the year, to be honest with you. So, very excited for that. Some friends of the show that got some new stuff to talk about. Brooks, thank you for being here. Final thoughts?
Well, I think if the show proves anything, is that if you throw some dragons in the mix, the nerds will come back.
It's
And
not
if they
hard.
want to really like
I like
blow
it.
me away in season 2, what they need to do, they need to hire David Tennant to be in season 2.
Yo,
They
yeah.
have to
Let's
see
get
him
all the
They get
doctors.
the Smith versus Tennant finally.
Well,
yeah.
We've all been waiting for.
Bring
Yeah.
back David Tennant, but as a dragon. He's like Andy
Mm.
Serkis. He's like
This
doing
is a dragon with David Tennant's face on it.
because he's busy with
A Tennant dragon.
Good Omens season 2, right? So yeah.
Oh, they're doing Good Omens
That's true.
season 2. Oh.
They are. Yeah.
And he's the next
It's
Doctor
been a
Who.
few years, hasn't it?
Spoiler alert.
Brooks didn't have the internet, y'all. Like, and he apparently doesn't watch weekly pop culture wrap up. Brooks, you know I do a show every Saturday morning. I go over. If you watch that show, you would know that there was a Good Omens season 2. Yeah.
Sometimes you like to be pleasantly surprised, though.
Yeah, that's nice, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate your support of this channel, Brooks.
I'm glad to do it.
At least just log on for a second, let it play, and hit a like. God damn it. Anyway,
You ain't got all the time in the world.
you're right. My final thoughts are this. Thank you all for joining us. This is fun. If you want to see more when a season is done, like reviews and discussions, let us know in the comments, in the chat. Let us know. If you want them, we'll keep doing them. This has been fun. I've loved this
Hell
show.
yes.
This was a great conversation. Chilling here with my homies, talking about this shit. But guess what? Fuck fantasy. We're still in the middle of Horror Fest right now. We're actually at the end of it. And coming up tomorrow or Saturday night on Dylan's Horror Show, who just reached 1,000 subscribers.
Yes.
Excited for that.
Station.
Pumpkinhead. This is going to be the show where we break Dylan's heart. I'm going to tell you, Pumpkinhead's one of his favorite movies.
Oh wow.
And it is not one of my favorites, but one of my favorites is Videodrome. We're going to be talking about Videodrome on Sunday night. So Saturday, we got Pumpkinhead. On Sunday night, we got Videodrome. It will be the first time watching for Jelani, for Brooks,
Ooh.
and for Steph. It's your first time, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And it'll be Manny's. I don't know if it's Manny's first time, but Videodrome is one of my favorites. I rewatched it last night. The first time in probably 12 years. I had fucking lucid ass nightmares all fucking night long. I'm not even
Nice.
fucking kidding, y'all.
Nice.
This movie gets to me in a visceral and sexual kind of way. I'm really pumped for that. So Saturday
Like
night,
cigarette burns.
Pumpkinhead.
Man, you got me worried about.
You should be worried.
Yeah.
Sunday night,
You can watch it in broad daylight. Windows open.
Monday night, Halloween night. We're wrapping it all up with the entire Nightmare on Elm Street franchise.
Banger.
That's the original one. That's Freddy's Revenge, Dream Warriors, Dream Master, Dream Child, Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, the Freddy versus Jason, and the 2010 remake. Which
Wait,
I
we're
watched.
watching Freddy vs. Jason again.
Yeah, well, last time we watched it was 2 years ago. You know we're gonna feel something different about it now, man.
God, no, what's Freddy vs. Jason? God,
Also,
dang it.
the last time we talked about Freddy versus Jason, that was at the end of a 3-hour show in which we covered 6 movies in 2 hours.
True.
And we were like, fuck, guys, we got to get through the rest of them. So we'll actually get to spend some time on Freddy versus Jason this time. So, Horror Fest, y'all. We're at the end, but it's a banger end. Pumpkinhead, Saturday night. Videodrome, Sunday night. Nightmare on Elm Street, the entire franchise, Monday night on Halloween. Which does, we should have done Halloween this year, Nightmare last year. That way we could have done all 13 Halloween films on Halloween, but it doesn't matter. And for my final thought, I'll just say this. Fuck, I can't remember what I was supposed to say.
Now I'd like 2 eggs over hard.
Is that what it feels like, Brian? Is that what it feels like?
Doesn't feel good, does it?
I would rather.
You'd rather feed your sons to the dragons than live through a.
I would
overhard?
rather feed my son. That's a dumbass decision that Rhaenyra's made at the end of that show, by the way. Oh, they'll be fine. They're not going to do anything to you, boy.
You're just a messenger.
You sent a boy to do a man's job.
say
They
this.
should have did Damon.
I'll say two things. Number one, I do not want to live in fear, only solitude. Ooh. The other thing is this. What is life if not the pursuit of the YouTube algorithm? House of the Dragon, y'all. Peace out. We love you guys. Have a good one.